Spoštovani častni konzul za Slovenijo v Južni Avstraliji, gospod Adrian Vatovec, in spoštovana gospa Irena Vatovec, naša rojakinja iz Melbourna, Katarina Vrisk, spoštovani pater David, drage gospe in gospodje. 23. decembra leta 1990 se je na plebiscitu 88,5% Slovencev odločilo za neodvisno Slovenijo. Tega dne smo Slovenci pokazali največjo enotnost v svoji zgodovini. Letos mineva 25 let, odkar je Slovenija samostojna. Današnjo proslavo posvečamo temu prazniku, pa pričnimo s himno.
Obrodile so tritevice nam sladko, imamo živadile, srce razjasni in oko, kjer dobi se skrbi, odvrtih vrsih umudi, kjer dobi se skrbi, odvrtih vrsih umudi, umrela si narodi, ki ledo čakala, tako da sem se oni prepir sveta bo pregnan. Koroja razbosa, ne vrale so se glomeja, koroja razbosa, ne vrale so se glomeja.
Prosim, če stojite še naprej in se z enominutnim molkom poklonimo vsem, ki so dali življenje za samostojno Slovenijo. Čast in slava njim. Sedaj pa lahko sedite, prosim. K mikrofonu povabim častnega konzula za njegov govor, ki ga je pripravil. Prosim.
Cafuta, Brother David, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I'd like to pay respect to the Kawana people, the original custodians on whose land we stand here today. Slovenians realised a 1,000-year-old dream of our own nation 25 years ago. Through 1,000 years of foreign rule, Slovenians managed to maintain, through a lot of dire and difficult circumstances, a Slovenian identity. This is truly remarkable. Where others might have succumbed to foreign rulers, Slovenians never did. Slovenians never had the size of a significant military army to keep foreigners at bay, but what they did have was the power of the word. And this was a tool that Slovenians skillfully used to manoeuvre through the crevices of colonial rule. When we think about Slovenia achieving independence 25 years ago, we need to think of the contributions and sacrifices made by our ancestors over the past 1,000 years toward achieving this aim. Our ancestors established a solid base from which to launch a free Slovenia. Slovenians demonstrate that persistence and determination, which Slovenians have in abundance, is the ultimate weapon in achieving a desired outcome, and in this case, freedom itself. Slovenia's independence 25 years ago unfolded against the backdrop of a broader democratic change across East Europe. As the deep economic and political crisis, coupled with reawakening nationalisms, spelled the end of former Yugoslavia. Slovenia was one of 6 founding republics that made up the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, a federation kept together by the Communist Party, the army, and above all, President Josip Tito. After Tito's death in 1980, the proverbial brotherhood and unity between the nations began to dissolve, and political divisions between them deepened. The leadership crisis was made worse by a severe economic crisis. The seeds of discord sprung up in the economy and the regional development policy, which compelled the advanced parts of the country to contribute substantial funds to help the underdeveloped parts to advance. However, the advanced parts, including Slovenia, understood the policy as exploitation, especially as the differences between the developed and undeveloped did not get any smaller despite substantial funds pumped into the effort. Slovenia's population at the time represented 8% of Yugoslavia's, but Slovenia contributed 25% of the funds to the federal budget. This clearly was not a desirable position to be in or to maintain. Despite constant reforms, the economy was in the doldrums in the 1980s, struggling with hyperinflation, which at one time neared 3,000%.
Excuse me.
Factories were going bankrupt and unemployment figures were rising. The situation coincided with demands for democratic change in the Eastern Bloc in the late 1980s, followed by the fall of the Berlin Wall and the disintegration of the Soviet Union. Slovenia and other parts of Yugoslavia too saw a growing number of people, foremost intellectuals, demand greater political rights, respect for human rights, freedom of speech and the press. Serbia was trying to prevail in the federation, fueling Serbian nationalism. The political course was set in a memorandum adopted by the Serbian Academy of Arts and Sciences in 1986 that floated the idea of Greater Serbia. Slobodan Milosevic became its champion. The idea was mostly vocally opposed by Slovenia. Some of the local print media were voicing harsh criticism of the system and demanded democratization. The 57th volume of the literary journal Nova Revija, which came out in March 1987, issued a call for Slovenia to become a democratic multi-party state of a sovereign Slovenian nation. If unable to live as such within Yugoslavia, Slovenia would seek a path outside it. A series of meetings followed in which the presidents of Yugoslav republics attempted to find a solution to continue in a common country, possibly as a confederation, but the efforts failed. As independence referendum was held on 23rd December 1980 in Slovenia, and around 95% of the votes cast by 93.2% of the electorate confirmed the succession from the joint country. Independence was formally declared on 25th of June 1991 in Slovenia and celebrated at a ceremony the next day to be followed by a military attack on the country in the same night. An armistice was agreed on 2nd of July 1991, and the Yugoslav army began retreating to its starting positions to completely withdraw from the country by 26th of October. With the European community acting as a mediator, the two sides had adopted on 7th of July a declaration that in fact meant the Yugoslav army agreed to Slovenia going its own way. The existing risk at the time was of the West not supporting Slovenia. The West could have left Slovenia at the mercy of the Yugoslav army, or possibly protected Slovenia security-wise, but not economically. This would have broken Slovenia within a year, as the loss of the Yugoslav market cost Slovenia up to 150,000 jobs. However, fortunately, Western Europe was experiencing a boom at the time, and Slovenian companies presented themselves with relatively high-grade products and cheap labour force. In Slovenia's quest for independence, we must acknowledge the hard work undertaken by Slovenian Australians, and in particular Slovenians here in South Australia, and particularly you people here in Adelaide, in persuading the Australian government to recognise Slovenia as a free sovereign country. Australia and Canada became the first overseas countries to recognise Slovenia's independence. After 1,000 years, Slovenia is finally a free country. Long live Slovenia and its people. Thank you. Hvala.
Hvala lepa. Primož Trubar je svoje pridige velikokrat začenjal z nagovorom: Moji ljubi Slovenci. Ena najpomembnejših stvari v Trubarjevem življenju je bila ljubezen do slovenskega ljudstva. Verjel je, da ima to ljubo ljudstvo dovolj moči in volje, sočutja do bližnjega in solidarnosti, da lahko pomaga vse skušnjave in preživi vse viharje. Njegova vera se je uresničila in zagotovo bi bil zdaj ponosen na lepo slovensko deželo in našo lepo govorico. Sedaj pa bo pevski zbor nam zapel Bog te živi, Slovenija. Sedaj pa povabim Rosemary Poklar, da nam bo recitirala pesem Toneta Pavčka Take dežele ni.
Take dežele ni. Lepa je moja dežela, bridkosti polna, sem je stvarnik sijal nemir in lepoto, ki je skoraj popolna in žalost, kot je ni na svetu nikjer. Nikjer ni zemlja tako skromna in radodarna, nikjer ne pride lastovka tako hitro na jug, nikjer ni nikoli tako bledikava zarja skozi stoletja ohranjala up. Nikjer trave z Jurijem, svojim patronom, ne veseljačijo tako dolgo v jesen in nikjer ne kriče še pod betonom o zelenem spominu svojim ljudem. Nikjer niso hoste tako skrivnostne z brezni in grapami, ki jih je zlo polnilo s trupli, da jih belo okostje sije potomcem v neprijazno temo. Lepa je moja dežela, lepa do muke. Samo tu gruli prsteno grlo Rim, samo tu so tudi groze manj hude, samo tu lahko živim.
Hvala lepa, Rosemary. K mikrofonu povabim gospoda Ivana Legiša, ki je za današnji dan pripravil tudi kratek govor.
Dragi rojaki, danes posvečamo naš dan 25. obletnici osamosvojitve Slovenije. Stoletja in stoletja smo Slovenci čakali na svojo deželo in leta 1991 je končno napočil tisti dan, ki je Slovenijo prisilil, da je 25. junija proglasila svojo neodvisnost. 10 dni je trajala vojna za svobodo, žal za njo so bile tudi žrtve, ki jim sedaj poklanjamo spoštljiv spomin. Res, naša dežela je stara komaj 25 let, res pa je tudi, da naš narod ni od včeraj. V resnici naša zgodovina je starejša od 1500 let, identiteta slovenskega naroda v Evropi se v zadnjem 20-letju uvaja in uveljavlja povsem novi prazgodovinski paradigmi, kateri je zlasti opazna teorija naše kontinuitete. Vedno več vrhunskih evropskih strokovnjakov zavrača domnevo o prihodu Slovanov v 6. stoletju. Kako veliko spodbudnih misli so potrebovali naši predniki, koliko velike ljubezni do svoje grude, da ljudstvo ni obupalo v svojem starodavnem upanju in da se jim duh ni upognil pod tujim škornjem, ki je stoletja za stoletjem tlačil našo zemljo in pil našo kri. Zato, dragi rojaki, v času skupne Evrope, ko za skupnimi jedri nam že v šole in urade vsiljujo angleščino, je še kako nujno in potrebno, da se zavedamo Krnskega gradu in Gospe Svete. Zavedati se moramo kralja Sama in Karantanje, knezov Hotimirja in Gorazda ter Gosposvetskega polja. Zavedati se moramo, da je tam že v tistih davnih časih bila prvi zapisana slovenska beseda. Tam je tekla zibelska slovenske zgodovine in svobode. Zavedati se moramo, da je naš narod najstarejši narod Srednje Evrope, enako naš slovenski jezik, ki ga moramo gojiti in ohraniti prihodnjim rodovom. Zavedati se moramo preživetja ljudstva, ki so ga desetkali Turki, kuga, lakota, upori, razseljevanje, umirjenje v tujih bojiščih, ko niti niso vedeli, za čigave cilje. 25. junij je dan, za katerega skozi stoletja je živelo, krepenelo in se bojevalo veliko slovenskih rodov. Dolgo, predolgo so nam tujci kratili naše pravice, predolgo je bila naša pot do samosvojitve. Danes, po 25 letih, naša država je del svobodne skupnosti in se z velikim pogumom bori s težavami, ki so delež vseh vlad sveta. Bodimo ponosni, da imamo Slovenci zopet svojo državo, naši potomci naj bodo ponosni na svoje korenine in poskrbimo, da vedo, kje je ta Slovenija. Na kraju danes z velikim veseljem čestitamo vsem Slovencem in njihovim voditeljem. Obenem želimo, da bi svobodo uporabili v razcvet slovenskih državljanov ter vsega človeštva, s kateri smo vpleženi v kozmično in večno.
Hvala lepa, Ivan. Sedaj nam bo gospa Ana Likar zapela 2 pesmi, Nasvidenje in druga Polja in gozdovi.
Oh, kako bi rad ostal doma, kjer sta moja starša ljubljena, kjer bratje in sestre so, kjer mi je zmeraj bilo lepo. Odhajam zdaj, čeprav težko, in mi pri srcu je hudo. Lepo razbiti je doma in nimač kriti mi solza. Lepo razbiti je doma in nimač kriti mi solza. Vsem svojim dragim v slovo podal tresočo bom roko, zašepetal besedele, nasvidenje, 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 nasvidenje. Polja in gozdovi se bleščijo v mesečini, sanjajo vasice, tiho se bude spomini. Je le dežela, lepša kot Slovenija, prav nihče nikjer ne najde sreče večje kot doma. Je le dežela, lepša kot Slovenija, prav nihče nikjer ne najde sreče večje kot doma. Hvala.
Hvala lepa, Ana.
Je bilo res?
Odlično.
Slovenci smo veseli ljudje, ki se znamo sprostiti in se poveseliti. To veselje in prešernost sta nam bila položena že v zibel. Kot pravi Ivan Cankar, veseli ljudje bodo živeli tod, pesem bo njih jezik in jih pesem bo vriskanje. O domovina, kot je Bog ustvaril, ti je blagoslovil z obema rokama in je rekel, tod bodo živeli veseli ljudje. Skopo je meril lepoto, ko je trosil od vzhoda do zahoda. Šel je mimo silnih pokrajin, pa se ni ozrl nanje. Puste leže tam, strme proti nebu s slepimi očmi in prosijo milosti. Nazadnje mu je ostalo polno perišče lepote, razsul ju je na vse 4 strani. Od Štajerskih goric do strmne Tržaške obale, ter od Triglava pa do Gorjancev, in je rekel, veseli ljudje bodo živeli tod. Pesem se bo njih jezik in njih pesem bo vriskanje. Vse, kakor je rekel, se je zgodilo. Bogatejši so pač drugi jeziki, pravijo, da so tudi milozvočnejši in bolj pripravni za vsakdanjo rabo. Ali slovenska beseda je beseda praznika, petja in vriskanja. Iz zemlje same zveni kakor velikonočno potrkavanje in zvezde pojo, kadar se na svoj svetli poti ustavijo in se ozro na čudežno deželo pod seboj. Vesela domovina, pozdravljena z vsega srca. Sedaj pa se oglaša ponovno pevski zbor s pesmijo Nocoj, ko vse je mirno.
Nocoj, ko se je mirno, luna še budi. Nocoj ti bom povedal, kaj mi srce boli. Poletje moje, ljube svoje, si prelomila, srce ranila. Nikar ne skrivaj, se veš pred mano, sta tudi tebi pogaj budo. Nikar ne skrivaj, se veš pred mano, sta tudi tebi pogaj budo. Lunica zakrije, oblaček mi tema, mi sonce se posije, ko noč prežene dan, se spet vesel, ko lepa pesem, mi tam na vasi, se noč ogasi, na okno tvoje. Nikde ne trka, in tudi jaz nikdar več ne bom. Na okno tvoje nikde ne trka, in tudi jaz nikdar več ne bom.
Karantanski panter je naslednja recitacija, ki bo recitiral Emil. In kaj je karantanski panter? Karantanski panter je simbol Karantanje in ima pomembno mesto v zgodovini. Velja tudi za zaščitnika samostojnosti Slovenije. Prosim, Emil.
Karantanski panter. Vstal je panter karastanski, da povrne sebi čast. Slavo rodbina slovenski in Slovencem vso oblast. Mit se dviga iz davnine, naj to silo vsak spozna. Karantanska kneževnica, kneževina z gospo Zvedskega polja. Zbrišimo zdaj prah stoletni, ki nabral se je čez čas. In medli spomin prijetni, slavnih prednikov vseh nas. na enotnost, kaj prisega, duh ponosen, čist in klen. Naj se prek sveta razlega, tu je gospodar Sloven. Star brat.
Hvala lepa, Emil. No, sedaj pa malo bolj sproščenega. Naša dva najmlajša nastopajoča bosta nam predstavila oziroma zaigrala in zapela. Vabim Nikija in Neli, da prideta sem. Prvo Niki. Niko nam bo najprej zaigral. Regiment po cesti gre in če študent na rajžu gre. Sedaj bo pa Neli zapela Kekčevo pesem in bratec ji bo spremljal. Jutri se družina odpravlja domov v Slovenijo. Vse najboljše in srečno potovanje. Sedaj pa od najmlajšega do najstarejšega. Frank, prosim, če prideš, da bo zaigral eno na harmoniko. Upam, da boste prepoznali to pesem, ki bo zaigral.
Moja dekle jeszcze mlada jaja, moja dekle jeszcze mlada jaja, moja dekle jeszcze mlada jaja, moja zaraz jest mlada. Wszystkie latają plączane jaja, wszystkie latają plączane jaja, wszystkie latają plączane jaja. La gata mio brani ya ya, la gata mio brani ya ya, la gata mio brani ya ya, da ya reuni rasta. Ai correna bogata ya ya, ai correna bogata ya ya, correna bogata ya ya.
Malo si zaveslalo na koncu.
Ja.
No, prišli smo skoraj do kraja našega programa in še predno končamo, nam bo pevski zbor zapel oziroma je zaigral in zapel
Something. We'll make something up. Okay, boys, let's go.
Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, živijo. Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, še ne gremo domov. Rom pom pom, živijo.
Je med nami danes gospa Katarina Vrisk iz Melbourna, učiteljica glasbe. Letos je izdala obsežno, zelo zanimivo knjigo Antologija slovensko-avstralskih glasbenikov. K mikrofonu povabim Katarino, da nam sama pove kaj več v tej knjigi. Prosim, Katarina.
Adrian first.
I'm not Katarina, actually. But anyway, I'll have to do. The Anthology of Slovenian Australian Musicians is a very important book, not only for people of Slovenian heritage, but also for others, as it demonstrates the creative force of Slovenians. Slovenians are deeply musical people. All you need is to get a few Slovenians together and they will naturally start singing. And it comes as easily for them as breathing. When Katarina Vrisk, the book's author, set about beginning this project, I understand that this was going to be a relatively modest project. But Katarina kept unearthing musical talent, upon musical talent, upon musical talent, and upon musical talent in our Slovenian Australian community. This modest project turned out to be a monster, for it took 6.5 years of research and writing for this whole thing to come to completion. The finished book, Anthology of Slovenian Australian Musicians, shows the enormous width and breadth of Slovenian musical talent, and the talent in a wide variety of musical styles. Some musicians are happy to play for the local community, while others perform on the international stage. I would sincerely like to thank Katarina Vrisk for putting her life on hold for 6.5 years, and for her dedication and perseverance in putting this monumental piece of work together. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you Katarina Vrisk.
Thank you, Adrian, Honorary Consul for South Australia, for the Republic of Slovenia for South Australia. Did I get all that right? And Father David from the Slovenian Mission, and everyone here today. I need these. Okay, hello and dober dan. And my name is Katarina Vrisk, and I'm author of Anthology of Slovenian Australian Musicians, or Antologija slovensko-australskih glasbenikov. Thank you for coming along today to help celebrate also the amazing musicians in our Slovenian Australian community. What a special day to be here. It's also a celebration of a quarter of a century of independence, independent country Slovenia. And I'm so very happy to be here. I'd like to dedicate today to a couple of people who I'll talk about. One of those people is Emil Borlak, that's Adrian's father. He was the founder of the Slovenian Choir Adelaide. He was born on the 16th of June 1928 and passed away on the 3rd of December 2000 in Adelaide, South Australia. Emil Vatovec came to Australia with his new pregnant wife Leopolda in the mid-1950s to forge a new life for his family. He came with music in his heart and a love of singing in his luggage. He always held the belief that music defines the society we live in, and it has the power to bring us together and to touch and reach anyone on earth. Music is not something you do in your younger years, it's something you do for life. Adrian recalls memories of walking in the kitchen of the family home and hearing his mother and father singing a song. They harmonised perfectly, and it was a joy to listen to this. Funny how the world can't be like that. Alois was an initiator, a beginner, a starter of things. Through his steely determination, he saw vision for people to play an instrument, and then he convinced them to actually do this. Carlo Filipčić tells the story of how he met Alois and Leopolda. Upon finding out that Carlo had played the drums in his hometown in Slovenia, Alois bought Carlo a drum kit and said that he had to play. And play he did for many years. None of this was lost on his son Adrian. With lots of encouragement and a few threats, he wanted Adrian to persist with music school, which was progressively more difficult. It was easy to watch television, play football and cricket with mates, than sit inside and persist with scales and exercises. And Adrian had been asked to train with the state squad in cricket as well. But that all went on hold for music. Alois showed the same devotion and commitment to his son by driving him to band gigs and collecting him late at night when the show had finished. Alois was a proud Slovenian who pushed the boundaries and looked further afield for achievement. Through his cultural interests, he developed the first Slovenian band in South Australia in the late 1960s and participated in choral singing from the 1960s right through to the end of the 1990s. He maintained his links with the Slovenian choir Adelaide even early in 2000 when he was undergoing cancer treatment. This was the choir he formed in 1992 today and still perform here today. They have held performances at Slovenian clubs in Adelaide and Melbourne and some of South Australia's premier events. He had carefully catalogued every appearance of the choir. When Adrian told him about the choir's achievement at the Christmas at the Bay parade and shared the experience of being on television, he was proud of their achievements, even from his hospital bed and being in a lot of pain. Alois received an award from the Slovenska Izseljenska Matica, the Slovenian Immigrants Association in Ljubljana, for his work in cultural pursuits. He was also president and vice president of Slovenian Club Adelaide in the 1970s to 1990s. In 2000, they named him Father of the Year. He was very grateful for all the awards he bestowed on him. And the other person I'd like to dedicate today to is Ivan Benz. He left us very recently. Ivan Benz was an accordion player and was born in Šembija, Slovenia on the 29th of May 1931. He passed away just a couple of months ago. When Ivan was 13 years old, his father bought him a second-hand 3-row button accordion. As was the case in many musicians' situations, there was a person in the same village who had some musical knowledge and passed on what he knew. At 15, Ivan then began playing for weddings and private parties with his mentor as his chaperone. In 1949, Ivan started a 3-year electrical mechanic apprenticeship at the Alexander Ranković torpedo factory in Rijeka, Croatia. Every weekend, he came home to Šembija and played the accordion at dances and parties and so on. Ivan's eldest brother, Eugene, learned clarinet and occasionally they played together. It was after that apprenticeship that Ivan decided to leave Slovenia. He illegally crossed the border into Trieste, Italy, and made it to the Annex refugee camp, which was under the control of USA and England. He was accepted to go to Canada, but he decided to return to Slovenia. As he crossed the border, Ivan was shot twice, below the left shoulder blade and at his left ankle, and he ended up in the army hospital in Ljubljana for 2.5 months. After this, he went to court and was sentenced to 3 years of strict imprisonment. In February 1954, Ivan went across the same border with 3 friends. There were icy spikes on the ground, which they crawled over, and they slept overnight in a cave. Ivan made it to the annex camp in Trieste and was there for 8 months before he was accepted to immigrate to Australia. His then girlfriend escaped across the border at this time, and they were married in Trieste. And she was the reason he went back over the border into Slovenia. When they arrived in Australia, Ivan and Mary were separated after travelling from Sydney to Bonegilla in Victoria, and then they were sent by train to Port Augusta. The wives were to go to the Woodside camp, 27 kilometres east of Adelaide, and the men were to stay in Port Augusta. The agreement was that the men wait in Port Augusta to arrange accommodation, furniture and a job before the wives would be transferred to join their husbands. Ivan didn't like this arrangement and was told by the superintendent he didn't know if Mary would be transferred back. There was outrage and uproar, and the chief of the railway station threatened to send the men back to Europe. Ivan was ready to go back there and then, but was told he and the others would be in breach of the 2-year minimum stay on the government contract. Ivan wondered where he had come to when the cold tap poured out hot water. Ivan went to Adelaide looking for work and accommodation. Mary was still at Woodside. He found work at Simpson Appliances, near where the Slovenian club would be built years later. I presume that's here. Mary joined Ivan, and they met Alois and Leopolda Vatovec, who were living in the same building. The rekindling of the music spirit came soon after. Mary went to Alan's music shop in Rundle Mall and purchased a piano accordion for Ivan's birthday. It was a happy occasion after all that had happened in the months before, and a huge achievement for migrants who had only just arrived in the country with nothing to their name. Ivan had a few lessons from a professional player of Austrian background. Ivan was doing some electrical work for him, and in turn, the teacher gave him some lessons. Because work took him out into country South Australia for a couple of months at a time, he could not continue with his music. A while later, Stanko Zupan, a fellow migrant in Adelaide, had a button accordion, and Ivan borrowed it for a week or two to see if his passion for the instrument was still there. He was surprised that he could remember so much after so many years. Mary made a visit to Slovenia in 1992 to visit her sick mother. She bought Ivan his second accordion from specifications that Ivan had obtained from Alois Vatovec. Ivan then began playing seriously, and the enjoyment returned. After 2 years, Ivan sold the melody accordion and bought a Zupan button accordion, and that stayed with him for life. Ivan played this accordion on Sunday afternoon gatherings here in the Slovenian Club, Adelaide. He played for the children's folk dance group as well. Ivan teamed up with Carlo Filipčić, who played the drum kit that Alois Vatovec donated to the club. Ivan also travelled interstate as part of the Slovenian Choir Adelaide to Slovenian Club Planica in Melbourne and Ivan Sanko Slovenian Club in Geelong in Victoria. Ivan's musical legacy lives on in his sons. John plays the guitar and has played in several bands on the Eyre Peninsula. Aaron also plays the guitar, and Gary plays the bass guitar for enjoyment. In interviewing Ivan for the book, he was very generous with his time and information, and I'm glad he lived long enough to see his story in print. And Slovenian Choir Adelaide. The Slovenian Choir Adelaide was formed in 1992 by Adrian Vatovec as a means of sustaining and promoting the richness of Slovenian music. The choir was formed from the members of Slovenian Club Adelaide and has included male and female members. Only boys left, I think, last time I looked. Alo's son Adrian Vatovec was asked to accompany the choir with his accordion. Adrian's role is wider than that though, as he selects and composes repertoire and rehearses the choir as well. The choir has participated in numerous Slovenian community events in Adelaide, Melbourne and for the wider Australian community, where it sees its role in promoting Slovenian culture. Notable performances by the choir include social and cultural celebrations, milestones such as anniversaries, for a display at the Migration Museum and on television as part of the Christmas at the Bay parade, where their float won the Most Outstanding Individual Award. Today they'll sing a song composed by Adrian and Alois Vatovec. Adrian composed the music and Alois wrote the words. Srečanje u tujini domači spomin.
Spominjam se še tisti dni, ko smo še lahki bili, srečo smo tam živali, preden tujino odšli. Žepek naš je bil prav suh, tujina nam je dala kruh, Slovenija je prekrasna si, ostani za vse dni. Slovenija nam predraga si, smo tvoji sini in čeri, ostali tebi zvezdi smo, pod tujo zvezdico. Zares je nebo na svet, hočemo lepo živet, naj Bog ti dobro srečo da. Naša krasna Slovenija, tujino smo odlajžali, da bi te srečo našli. Tujina nam je dala kruh, žepek ni več suh. Slovenija nam predraga si, smo tvoji sini in čeri, ostali tebi zvezdi smo, pod tujo zvezdico. Ostali tebi zvezdi smo, pod tujo zvezdico.
Thank you very much. And you can take a seat. The main reason I wrote this book was to document my father's story, Tony Vrisk. He was initially a self-taught musician and played in a band in a migrant camp in Asten in Austria in the mid to late 1950s. When he came to Australia, he had some lessons with a Polish music teacher who asked him to play in his jazz band. My father played guitar. Not having a car made it difficult and he soon had to give it away. He was coaxed into joining a band, Slovenski Fantje, Slovenian Boys, in 1971 by accordionist Ivan Hadze, and maybe some of you remember Ivan lived in the Berry area for some time. They played one performance, the first New Year's Eve dance for the new Slovenian club Planica. People danced so much that night that in one section of the dance floor, the floorboards broke. Yeah, so plesali, velik. That night was the start of another 30 years involved in music. There were many other families like mine with generations of musicians. I went on to study, I learnt piano, went on to study Bachelor of Education in music, and my son plays piano and the trombone. I want to thank them, these musicians, for opening up and letting me in to write about their stories. Some had tears in their eyes in appreciation for my efforts, and it kept me going. Anthology took 6.5 years from the first idea to publishing and holding it in my hand. There were thousands of hours, many late nights, weekends, holidays spent researching and writing. There are 7 chapters, and in between the chapters are 5 special features. Things like the Slovenian youth concerts, the Lojze Slak tour of 1972. Anyway, my film will tell you more about that. And it totals over 650 pages. I thought originally it was going to be about 250 to 300 pages, so it really was double that. And from all around Australia, even Slovenia, the people who were here and now are living in Slovenia. Editing of the book, so checking, took 3 months to finish. There are many amazing stories to read with over 1,300 photographs. It weighs nearly 1.7 kilos. I've prepared a short film which outlines what's in the book and also the South Australian people who contribute to the cultural life in the past 50 years. I hope you enjoy.
Časi, mladi časi, neužite krasi, moja mlada leta, niso žila sveta. Moja mlada leta niso žila sveta.
Sea level rises to danger. Electricity flows on full power. Physical law violation is what you are. Language, the source when you're talking. How do you moan like a cello? I'm on spinning reserve, can black out. Confrontations with the possible.
nas je, vendar smo pridni in dobri ljudje. Našo deželo in ves ta naš rod ljubimo srčno, ne gremo od tod. Človek kar nekaj ljubezni ima, vsaka od njih kdaj po svoje je šla. Le domovina nikoli ne bo ti pomahala v bridko slovo. Meni bije slovensko srce, objema morje.
I hope you enjoyed that and have brought back some lovely memories for you. I'd like to call the president of the club up and the Honorary Consul for South Australia for the Republic of Slovenia, Adrian Vatovec. And I would like to, first of all, I should come out here. First of all, Mr. Cafuta, I would like to thank you for welcoming me into your club and providing this opportunity to tell everybody about Anthology. This is a copy for you and the club so that we remember this time and these people in this book.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to having you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Adrian, I remember when I first advertised that I was writing this book. It was 2009, could have been 2010. Something very early like that, and the first person I received information from was Adrian. Had a very comprehensive list of people in South Australia, in Adelaide, and that was really my starting point, and he was a wealth of information. And you're very lucky to have him here to keep things like this going. And on behalf of me, I would like to thank you for that and provide you with a copy of Anthology. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. All the best.
Okay. May I add that this book, the Anthology, comes with a book. It's a book and a CD, 2 CD set, right?
2 CDs. Yes.
2 CDs, yes.
Yes.
And you can buy it today here from Katarina. The book has 7 chapters, 5 special features, 650 pages, and it's in full colour.
Yes.
So the production cost of this is not small at all.
We won't talk about that.
As we said, the Monster project has taken Katarina 6.5 years of research and writing. A lot of blood, sweat, tears, and very, very long nights.
It was, yes.
Did you want to say that?
No, because there was a lot of,
Okay. All right.
a lot of effort.
This book will be a lasting memory for generations to come, so that your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc., will know what Slovenian Australians have accomplished. The book costs $95, and the 2 CD set with 75 recordings on it costs $30. The book and CDs can also be purchased in Slovenia if you want to buy this for your family or friends in Slovenia. And Katarina has the details of how to purchase this in Slovenia, so you can please see her about that. Katarina, once again, thank you very much for your enormous effort in realising this most important project.
Thank you. If I can just say too, I want to thank everybody for being so attentive as well. I know we had a longish sort of program before, and I do thank you very much for your attention now. Thank you. And I guess we're just going to finish with a bit of a sing-along. And who knows Dolini Tihi? Yeah? All right, we want you singing along. If you don't know the words, we want you swaying, okay?
Thank you, Katarina. Thank you very much, everybody, to be patient, and especially our performers. Really thank you from the committee of the club, and from especially from my top of my heart. Thank you very much. One thing I have to say, what I didn't say before from the beginning, I forgot the Pater David. Sorry, Pater David. Vi ste kukaj naš. Oprostite, da vas nisem. Sorry about it. All right? Yeah. Like I said, thank you very much. And now we're going to have a barbecue. And the barbecue is going to be served by the ticket. They're going to call you out. They're going to call the tickets, ticket number, and so you come to the table here and collect your meal. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. I think it was a lovely afternoon.